everyone, it is I, Raditz, your favorite Saiyan warrior, and I've returned at last to bring you the reactionary content you crave. And I am not alone, my warriors. I am joined by the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Say hello, Superman.
Hello there, everyone. It is I, the Man of Steel. I hope you're all doing rather well.
Indeed. Now, before on this channel, he was introduced to One Piece. He watched all the openings, he reacted, and he provided to us his commentary and his ranking. Well, I wish to recreate that situation again, but with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So, with that said, and I know I've made the joke on this channel before, I reject my humanity, JoJo! Now, it's a basic system here. We will do our ranking. We have S tier, which is, the greatest of all time. Cannot be beaten. Change my mind, you can't. And then we have F tier, which is, why do you exist? Just to make us suffer. Seem like basic rules there. What do you think, Clock?
That seems rather fair.
Okay. So after every part, we will discuss what we think of it and anything else on that matter. Are you ready, Clock?
I am ready.
All right, we're going in 3, 2, 1. Classic.
Yeah, the first 10 seconds kind of give me the same kind of vibes as Batman Beyond.
Fair enough. There's the police shooting. Well, the guy who deserves it.
Yep.
That man's walking up the wall.
Okay. So who's the blonde guy?
That is Dio.
Like some sort of villain?
He is the bad guy, yes.
Alright. Okay. Okay, what's with the mask?
That is the stone mask. It basically, can turn you into a vampire. And not those glittering ones from Hollywood. I'm talking like, you rip blood from people, you can turn people into blocks of ice. You're actually in this thing to, tear people up.
I see.
And, one of the powers that Dio has is called the Space Ripper Stinging Eyes. Which is literally taking the fluid from his eyes and shooting it as a high-speed projectile. It's actually fairly deadly. I mean, I prefer my double Sunday, but hey, it is what it is. But the question is, how do you rank this?
Well, it is anime opening 1, so it did its job, got me invested, maybe ask some questions.
Good, good.
So, I would rank it a high B.
High B. Okay. So, I will name the name of this part, just because every part of JoJo has its own, name. This is called Phantom Blood.
Phantom Blood.
Yes. Does that
Okay,
affect your ranking at all?
No. I do not care about the names, but I would like to know them.
Okay, before we start part 2, I will name it for you, but I need to give my own evaluation. So, like you said, it gets us hooked at the beginning with the manga panels, and the whole theme is, just very much bringing the manga to life. And honestly,
Right.
I'm giving this a solid A.
Okay.
Because it's iconic. It is powerful. The music is driving. It's on point. And yes, I realize that there's still more on this video, but that's actually looks like part of the actual episode, and we're not here for that.
No. No, we are not.
So, we're gonna move on to part 2.
Alright. Let me know when you're ready to start.
Okay, give me a moment here. Whoa, easy there, killer. It tried to start on its own. So, in part 2, this is known as battle tendency. And
Okay.
while the protagonist of our part 1 opening was Jonathan Joestar, aka JoJo, we are meeting up with his grandson, Joseph Joestar.
Okay, so they just skipped that?
I could break it down for you a bit more, but know that, even though he was
Spoiler.
yes, even though Dio was defeated, let's just say the man left a lasting middle finger in the face of the Joestar family. So,
okay.
That said, let's get started with part 2, Battle Tendencies opening Bloody Stream.
Alright. Watching now. Okay. Huh.
And chorus! Let's go!
I really do love this animation.
Okay.
Okay, that's...
So, what do you think of the opening for Battle Tendency?
Okay. S rank.
My man! This is actually my favorite opening song of all the JoJo openings. Because it is just catchy! It is driven, it is flowing!
I actually love it. This animation's pretty great. In the beginning, it's just flat out amazing. Okay, I may have a personal bias, but it personally reminds me a lot of Swing.
I mean, that's kind of the bit because the time period we are in for this is like 1930s.
Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, I'd say top of the list, S rank.
S rank from me as well for the same reasons. Our next part is Stardust Crusaders. And in Stardust Crusaders, we actually have 2 openings.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna let this thing buffer up. Yes, I said buffer, I know it's a curse word on the internet. However, I will say this. Now that we are in part 3, the first opening is Stand Proud. We have moved on to stands, and yes, for the memes alone, Stando Power Da. However, I will say this, our protagonist is Jotaro Kujo. Again, there's JoJo there.
Okay.
So that said, part 3 is Stardust Crusaders. First opening is Stand Proud, and this is where we move from Hamon to stands as our power source. You ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, that's that big giant purple guy. I think that's like a stand.
Yes. Also, if you notice right here, another light joins the vibe.
Yeah. I almost didn't catch that. Thanks for pointing that out. There's something familiar about this.
Okay, gonna go ahead and pause there because then we move into episode territory. So, I will point out something. So the man that was dressed like Indiana Jones there, you know, with the hat and had the vines and all that, that's Joseph. That's our part 2 protag. And Jotaro is his grandson.
Okay, so the old guy is the guy from part 2.
Yes! He's like, I think 68, 69, 70, somewhere in that territory. Man looks pretty good for his age.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I actually think I've heard this song before.
really?
Yeah. I've listened to a cover of this song by Jonathan Young.
Based? So, that said, now that you've seen the opening that goes along with it, what are your opinions?
Well, I would give this a solid A.
Very nice, very nice. Is there anything you wish to
Part-
ask?
Well, scrolling back through. What's with all the roses that came out of Joe Star's back here?
Okay, so the vines that was all went into his back, that is showing that the binds of fate are wrapping around his bloodline.
Alright. Other than that, I got no other questions. That pretty much sums it all up for me.
Yes. So, I will tell you now that our villain for part 3 is Dio again.
Because of course that bastard's back.
So, it is spoilery, yes, but you find it out like literally in the first episode, I think. First or second. So, basically, Dio pulled just a massive middle finger, and yeah, Jonathan did defeat him, but Dio ended up coming back somehow and stole his body. Now, before
Okay.
we move on to opening 4, which is still in part 3, mind you, I will say that this would be the first opening where there are multiple variations on it. Which,
Oh.
yes. So, in opening 1, well, not opening 1, but version 1, you don't get to see who it is that JoJo is swinging on. But in the final version, which plays like, during the final battles, you actually get to see the villain himself.
Oh.
So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and move over to part 4. Not part 4, but opening 4, and we're going to let that buffer. Horrible word, I know.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready to start, and I'll open it up.
Okay, give me a moment here. YouTube's being stupid.
Yeah, because YouTube is YouTube.
Very much so, yes.
So opening 4v3.
Yes. So this is the final version, the one that plays during like the, final throwdowns. And there's a lot
Okay,
of,
let me know when you're ready.
I will say this in advance, there's a lot of blink and you'll miss it moments, so this might be one where we have to scroll back through. So that's...
Oh,
Okay, so that's it. 3, 2, 1. End of the world. Oh, hold up. My thing decided to kick me back to previous opening for some stupid reason.
Okay, I'll go scroll back.
I do not know why YouTube did that, but here we go. We're going.
Right. Okay, so it's bringing back a whole bunch of the previous JoJo stars and Dio, I guess. So I'm assuming with all the gears, time has like a very big meaning.
Yes.
What's with the dog?
He was the sixth light in the prior opening.
Oh, so that's where...
Yep.
Okay. Now I know why our Goldo was getting that reference from.
Yep. So, yes, this was opening for version 3. So, I want your opinion.
Okay.
Also, yeah, this one's going to be a bit of a talk. So, go ahead, overall opinion.
Little confusion. So I'm gonna have to give this one a little bit of a D.
Okay, I'm going to assuage that and hopefully bring it back up. So, at the beginning, because you know that Dio can do the whole time shtick.
Yeah.
So, at the
Yeah.
beginning, you saw Jonathan on the right in the gears, right?
Yeah.
Then you saw Joseph, young version, in the gears. Then you saw old Joseph in the gears. That's basically saying that we as humans are stuck by the flow of time. Like, we're going to age and die eventually.
Yeah, way to bring down the mood there, buddy.
But when Jotaro shows up, you notice that Dio is now in the gears.
And he never aged at all.
Yes, this is saying that Jotaro is that person that catches up to him.
Hmm.
So that said,
I would have just assumed that it was just Dio being practically immortal.
I mean, yes, he doesn't age, but throughout the opening, obviously we have those shots of the Stardust Crusaders running around doing the powers, because you gotta have that. So the bit on the stairs where you see the light swinging back and forth, those shadows are actually Dio's, last guard. Between him and the Stardust Crusaders. And then, of course, when they're on the stairs, you see the fist strike the banisters, blow it apart. That's Dio attacking and stop time.
Hmm.
And that bit where they're looking at all the yellow orbs across the city, every single one of those is where Dio or Jotaro stop time.
Huh.
And then as for the silhouetted versions of the Stardust Crusaders, look, I'm gonna be honest, there's a body count in every arc.
I mean, you can't have an anime where someone doesn't die.
Slice of life begs to differ. Anyway, and then of course at the
They
end
probably
here,
died on the inside.
maybe. Then at the end, we had Jotaro going to break through, and then, of course, Zaweldo! And you see Dio stand there, followed by time stopping, and Dio walking past Jotaro.
Hmm.
So, what do you think?
That does clear that up somewhat, but I'm still gonna keep my ranking here.
Ouch. So no chi, no yoku. Okay. So,
What was that?
I was actually saying the name in Japanese under my breath, but anyway, my point here is my ranking, I'm giving it a B just because it doesn't have the same driving.
Right.
I like the driving beat of the first few, but this one lacks that to me. However, we are moving on to part 4 now, which I'm going to go ahead and let that buffer up. So,
You mean opening 5?
yeah, opening 5. It's part 4 of JoJo, though.
Okay.
So,
Click on that.
we are now in part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is known as Diamond is Unbreakable. And our protagonist is another JoJo, obviously. I mean, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. His name is Josuke Higashikata, which I know that doesn't sound like it would, give you the whole JoJo thing, but basically, I guess it's something to do with how it's written in Japanese. And also, I mean, you could just use the first 2 letters of his name twice. I mean, come on. Anyway, that said, you might be asking, so was this guy Jotaro's grandson? No, actually. We're getting into some weirdness and minor spoilers, so, buckets on heads. Josuke is Joseph's son. Because our boy Joseph apparently, had a one-night stand.
Really?
Yeah, pun was not intended there. After I said it, I kind of realized it. But, such things do take effect, as it were. And, yes. However, by the time we get to this part, our boy Joseph is very, very old. And he's trying to put his affairs in order. But because he's so old, it's not him that goes to find Josuke.
Alright.
It's Jotaro.
Huh.
So, again, this is all a bit of having a JoJo from a prior part show up. So, that said, this is version 1 of Opening 5. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. That's Josuke, by the way. And there's Jotaro. Okay. So, let's get to talking, Clock.
So, I'm getting some major 60s vibes here.
So, this takes place during 1999, actually. And, I can tell that you're probably a little put off by the sudden change in art style. So, Araki, the mangaka for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, has changed his art style as we go forward. Like, obviously, the first part looked very Fist of the North Star. And by the time we get to here, it's quite a bit of a change. Now, that said, the man with the pompadour, that's Josuke.
The pompadour, okay.
Yes. Fun fact, do not make fun of his hair.
Already am.
He's already writing your eulogy.
What, you think I can take him?
Well, here's the bit, okay? Stands as, we established, a person's powers in this bit now. His is ability to, quote-unquote, fix things. So, like, if, whatever reason, let's say, I broke your favorite cup. Like, I just take your cup from you, I break it in half right now, right? He can walk over, smack that thing with his stand, and boom, it's back to normal. He can do that to people's bodies. I mean, that sounds like a really useful ability. Here's the catch: he can't do it to himself. So, yeah. But his stand is Crazy Diamond.
Okay.
And of course, I know, JoJo's right there. So, different outfit from last time. Very stylish, yes, yes. So, what's your overall opinion here? Because that's kind of the whole bit of this video.
Well, hmm. Not only that the art style was a bit different, but the tone itself. It kind of sounds a little more toned down.
There's a very strong reason for that. See, in the end of part 3, our boy Jotaro over here, well, let's just say, Dio is. So, all that said, final opinion. What do you rank this?
Well, I'd give it a C because the tone was so different, it kind of gave me a bit of a whiplash.
I mean, fair enough, fair enough. Uh, I'm giving it a B. It's catchy, yes, but I get the whole whiplash thing. I mean, it's the art style for me, but overall, it's pretty good. So, let's move on to the next opening. It's still in part 4, JoJo.
Alright. So, opening 6.
Yes, just give this a moment here, the buffer. Horrible word. And yes, I'm going to keep making that remark because it's true. Anyone who says buffering is good, well, I have an appointment for you with my double Sunday. Now that said, we are still in part 4 JoJo, Josuke's our JoJo, and let's just say more characters have shown up to the party, some people have gotten stands, and possibly even the arrival of another JoJo.
Oh.
So, 3, 2, 1, click.
Oh. They have a bunch of pigeons there. Huh. Okay, who is he gonna...
So I will reveal our big bad for the arc for this part of JoJo. His name is Yoshikage Kira.
Oh yeah, the I don't get mad at losing. I wake up at 7. Yeah, that guy.
Yes, the guy who's very much, I just want a quiet life where nobody bothers me. Meanwhile, serial killer mode. So,
Yeah.
that said, that old man you saw in the opening, that's Joseph again. Man is very, very,
Very
old.
old.
Yes. He came to Part 4's area because he was needed to hunt down the serial killer because of his abilities. But that said,
Hmm.
I need your honest opinion encompassing this opening.
All right. So, given now it's taken in the same place as opening 5, the Whiplash is nowhere near as so I'm gonna give this one a very low B.
So it's a B for you. Now, I'm willing to give this a high B, low A myself, but the reason why it's not fully locked in with A is it felt too short.
Okay, so there's like not enough to go off of.
Well, it felt like the music needed a little bit more, but that's just because it's catchy. It's what I enjoy. It's driving, it's pointed, it's let's do this!
Uh,
Which, I mean, that's how I am. Like, you remember back when, the One Piece opening thing was done? It was very much the
oh
same
yeah,
concept. Now, that
yeah.
being said,
The openings where you had to cut out my legendary rant.
yes! We're not doing that in this video, by the way, Clark. That was a pain to edit.
The
So,
one few times where I sweared so much, even you thought it was excessive.
the one of the few times where you went off on the tirade so vast that I had to go, no, 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 no. None of that. Shame on you. So, that being said, you're gonna put this in the B category, yes?
Yeah, low B. Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to lock in with. I'm going to give it a B as well at the end. We're both B's on this one, so ready for the next one? We're still in part 4. This is opening number 7.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Alright, I'm going to let this buffer up. Getting tired of saying that.
Yeah, we need to upgrade you, my man.
Oh, without a doubt. So, not only is this opening 7, this is going to be one of the few times where you will be able to get to see version 1 and version 2. Because version 2 is the next
Oh.
one up after this. And, the only thing I can give you just as pretext here, or, a heads up, is that Kira, Yoshikage Kira, at one point during this arc, gets found out by our heroes. Like, they know what the man looks like, all that. So the man literally uses some, well, there's no nice way to put this, fuckery to essentially swap identities with a poor bastard, and the guy dies in his place.
Fun.
So the guy that has the white and black striped hair, that's Kira. Okay? So that said, let's get started. 3, 2, 1.
Not a lot of going on.
Yes. So,
All right.
oh, by the way, what was your opinion of the opening, like, ranking? Because I got really heavy into explanations there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. It's like very forgettable for me. So, not gonna really help much in any of the rankings.
So,
So,
I mean, this is version 2 of it, so the song is more or less the same. It's just some, graphical differences. So, I guess we could just roll these two together. Ready?
yep.
Click.
Wait, what?
Remember what I said, time loop.
What the fuck?
So, there you go. That was version 2. So, version 2 is basically Kira using Bites to Dust to try to loop us out of getting him.
Okay, so makes sense.
But the song is the
I'm
same.
going to give this. Yeah. Well, there's some differences, so I'm gonna give both versions a B.
Fair enough. I kind of like the upbeat to this, but it's not driving like I like. But I will give this a high B. Mainly because of its catchiness.
Makes sense.
Alright, we're moving on to opening 8, which is part 5 of JoJo! Which I'm going to go ahead and let that buffer again. So, now we're in part 5 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is known as Vento Orero, or Golden Wind. And, our JoJo, and mind you, he's only JoJo due to Japanese pronunciation and writing and all that, Jono Giovanna. Now, I do have to say something spoilery real quick. So, this is going to take about 20 seconds, people. Skip ahead, buckets on heads, fingers in ears, all that stuff. Giorno Giovanna is basically Dio's son.
Ah.
But, because Dio stole Jonathan's body, that also makes him a Joestar.
Okay.
So take that into account. Okay, we'll pass the 20-second mark. Yes. So we are in Italy for this one. And as a
Ah.
result, well, what do you think of when you think of Italy?
All I think about is the food.
I mean, that's definitely prevalent, yes, but it's also with mafia.
Yep.
So,
Sorry, I'm kind of hungry right now.
I mean, so am I. I'm a saying I'm always hungry. So that said, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Okay.
All right, hitting pause there. Okay, so what is your opinion here with opening 8?
Well, opening 8, while I do feel like the, how do I best put this? It feels like a lot more focused. Like, hey, you're in this now. Like, something's about to hit the fan. Am I in the right ballpark here?
Yes. I mean, besides, JoJo himself, because, I mean, he's kind of the titled character, we get glimpses of the other people on his team. Now, sometimes the groups get names, sometimes they don't. This group is Passione.
Okay.
So you get to see the members of it. The guy with the bullets, that's Guido Mista. The the girl that was going down, that's Trish. The guy who was in the hourglass,
Okay.
that's Abaccio.
Mm.
The one that, kept having the chains, go across them until they vanished, that's Norancia.
Hmm.
Kind of like his style.
Well, I'm gonna give this one a very good solid A tier.
My man. I too will give this one an A.
All right, so we're basically on the same page for a majority of this.
Oh, yes. So, we're moving on to Opening 9 version 3. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Alright, click.
Okay, was he kissing someone's hand? Is like he kissing the Dawn's hand?
Pretty much. Mafia, man.
That is my first pick. Oh, wait, what? They just took someone's hand off.
Yep.
Okay, they're jumping out of a plane.
Yep. And King Crimson.
Rimane solo il risultato che voi sarete distrutti.
What in the acid trip am I watching? Okay, there's got to be some form of drugs involved in this.
Okay. So, I told you what King Crimson's ability is, right? With the whole skipping around of time to avoid getting, fate.
Yeah.
So, basically what happened is Giorno reversed it. He Uno reverse carded King Crimson. Now, all those different versions of him that was standing there, looking just, confused and shocked, that was him basically experiencing the same event multiple times through multiple instances of reality. Does your brain hurt?
Yeah.
Good! Welcome to JoJo. So, that said, what is your overall opinion? Okay, come on. Let's get to the ranking here. And that includes the music.
Yep.
So let's hear it.
But yeah, this is a straight up D, mainly for the acid trip alone.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Honestly, I give it a C. But that's version 3 for you. If we were watching version 1, it'd be a different bag, but it is what it is. Alright, let's move on. We're going to the opening 10, which is...
Opening 10 V1.
Yes. So, we're moving to part 6 of JoJo now.
Alright.
So,
I know whenever you're ready.
now that we're in part 6, I once again will provide you the name. This is Stone Ocean.
Oh.
Yes. And our protagonist is Jolene Cujo. Our first
Okay.
female JoJo. Furthermore, that last name, Cujo, sound familiar?
JoJo. Bizarre Adventure?
Cujo. The last name Cujo.
I already forgot. Crap.
Ugh, I swear. This is Jotaro's daughter.
Uh,
Yup. So, long story short here, she's in jail. In Florida.
Hashtag Florida man or a Florida woman story here.
You know what? I'm almost convinced that Florida Man stories are JoJo episodes just being filmed in live action. Anyway, so that
You know what? You're not wrong.
you know that little off the cuff joke aside, I will say this, and that is, we do get Jotaro in this part, but this part also contains one of the most divisive stands in all of JoJo. And it is an explanation in and of itself. I will cover it when we go to the final opening. Okay?
Okay.
But know that this is the last part of JoJo that is in the same continuity. Because after the end of JoJo Part 6, Hirohiko Araki rebooted the series with Part 7, Steel Ball Run, which, by the way, is confirmed to be getting an anime adaptation. So we may revisit this at some point, Clark.
Oh, joy.
So, that said, are you ready to get started?
Yep, ready. Let's do this.
And click!
Getting some kind of punk rock vibes here.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is a prison cell you were referring to. Okay.
Yep.
So what did this woman do? Did she like throw an alligator right through a Wendy's?
No, from as I understand, I think she killed somebody.
Okay, with what? A taxidermist squirrel? all the real Florida man stories, by the way. Okay.
So, I know you spotted Jotaro there at the end with his back to Jolene.
Yeah. So is this like a symbolism on how her past is like behind her, or the family is turning their back on her? Like, what is that symbolizing
Okay,
here?
so here's the bit. Right before, we zoomed out of her birthmark on her shoulder, the star, you actually get to see a brief, couple of flashes like other parts, like, the stone mask, the red stone in part 2. You get quick glimpses of that. But that's just to show, the legacy that she carries in her from all the prior JoJos.
Right.
So, as for her crime, if I remember right, she was framed for murder. And the reason why Jotaro's back is to her, and by the way, you actually see him briefly in another part of the opening, but I will address that alongside something else. Did you notice that there are a lot of CDs falling from the air?
Oh yeah, is that like her part of her stand?
Actually, no, the string that you saw throughout was. So
Really?
her stand is stone free, and is yeah. As for the CD thing, the villain of this arc, Enrique Pucci. You remember how I said Dio is a lasting middle finger on this series? This guy was Dio's best friend, basically, after he came back in part 3.
Huh.
Dio had this odd plan to attain something he called heaven, which is basically
Well, he's sure as hell not gonna say.
Yeah, he definitely didn't end up there, I'll tell you now. He's downstairs if you catch my meaning, viewers. Ha ha! Right,
He's right below the basement.
We dug up an extra basement just for him. Anyhow, he shares it with Frieza, by the way. Anyway, so Dio's plan to attain heaven was basically a way to allow every person who ever lived to know their fate and accept it, thereby attaining true peace. Because if you know everything that will happen to you from beginning to end, why do you, strike out? Why do you raise a fuss? Why do you do this, that, or the other? Everything's preordained. In short,
I guess it's like...
Dio wants to control fate itself.
Okay. I'm following.
Now, Pucci, he has the ability to take your memories and stand from you in the form of CDs. Like, he can nail you with his ability, and a disc will pop out of you. That disc will contain, your stand, everything it can do. Another disc will contain, everything you are as a person. Everything that is your personality removed.
Oh.
Let me guess, this guy needs to die
Totally.
extra hard.
Yeah, no.
So, part of why you saw Jotaro's back to you in the end is Jotaro falls victim to this.
Oh.
And let's just say that Jolene, she holds some resentment because Jotaro went off on all these adventures, dealing with evil people using stands and all this crap. She resents him for not being around, but that's still her dad, and he's now laid low by the villain. Now, would you like a wild bit of information about the whole CD thing?
Yeah.
If I took, Jotaro's Star Platinum, right, the CD that holds it, I could slap that thing into your head, and you would suddenly have Star Platinum.
Oh.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
Now that said, and a lot of explanation aside, so what's your take on this opening? Because you were talking about how it kind of had a punk feel to it.
Well, I'm not a really big fan of punk rock, but I really do love the vibrant colors they used in this, so I'm gonna have to give this one a solid A from the visuals alone.
I mean, I'm right there with you. So there is another version of this opening where I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the opening. Instead of her grabbing hold of the bars of the prison, at the end, she hugs Jotaro.
Aw.
She hugs him from behind and lays her head on his back because, she loves her dad. I mean, not the worst father in history. Slowly looks at my brother.
Oh, yeah. Mister, I'ma go give my son's enemy a sense of being right before they fight.
Yeah, no. If that had been Launch and I's daughter, Raunch, you know what would have happened the moment she stepped into the ring? I would have said,
What?
Raunch Sui, here's a Senzu bean from Dad. Kick his ass. And you said, fuck you. But I digress. We're gonna move on to the final opening. And I too give the opening 10 an A. So this is opening 11, version 2, Heaven's Falling Down. Now, I will say this. Poochie's stand evolves throughout this part and eventually becomes Made in Heaven. And honestly, look, Clark, you and I are gonna hold an explanation over this after the video, okay?
Yeah.
So, just no timey-wimey crap. Fair?
Fair.
Alright, let's get started on the final opening. Click!
Destiny is mine. 恐れしても全ての未来途切れぬより Should I thread of life?
Okay, start flattening with our hands.
痛みを乗り越えるたび心は永遠に
Okay, well,
される繰り返される宿命の最果てで光地海に近Getting through 生きる意味は世界に残すかな
Okay.
okay. I know this is gonna be a big bunch of spoilers here, but what in God's name happened to JoJo there?
Remember when I said that they took the stand disc out of his head along with his memory disc?
Yeah.
They turned him into a vegetable!
That's kind of fucked.
Yeah, so the guy with the white hair, that is, Poochie. That is our final boss of part 6. Also, did you
Okay.
notice that the final bit of, falling down in the spiral is just a recreation of part 1?
Huh.
Yeah. Also, a couple shots there where, you see all the prior JoJos. Nice callbacks. So, that aside, what is your opinion on these?
I'm gonna have to give this one a D.
A D, huh?
Because they did my boy JoJo dirty.
Yeah, they definitely did. But did you notice his shocked expression during the opening when, he popped up using time stop? And then he turns like he usually does when his stand's about to beat you. And then time stop suddenly stops and he looks shocked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the villain actually noped Jotaro's time stop. Because the final form of his stand accelerates time. Poochie stand.
Yeah, just flat out denied him.
Pretty much. And I can give you some spoilers after this, and you'll really have some words with me on that. However, I need to give my ranking here. So, my ranking on the final opening is going to be a high C, low B. Because it's pretty good, it's got a lot of callbacks, it carries the legacy of what came before, and I love it for that. But again, I'm very much a driven person, and I love seeing, that driving beat. But I agree with you, Clark. They did my boy Jotaro dirty.
Good to know we agree on that.
Yeah. So, that said, we're at the end of our video here, so I got to ask you a couple questions. Like, I'm required by the universe to ask these questions. 1, would you be interested in watching JoJo now? Or reading the manga?
I'll read the manga if I have the time, but yeah.
Okay. Second up is a very all-encompassing question. How do you rank the openings of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure collectively?
Collectively, high A.
My man. So I'm right there with you. High A all the way around. Just all the way around there.
I mean, the part 2 or opening to kind of carried the whole thing for me.
Battle Tendency's opening is it's just it. But here's my overall question. Which is your favorite JoJo? Is it Jonathan of part 1, Joseph of part 2, Jotaro of part 3, Josuke of part 4, Giorno of part 5, or Jolene of part 6?
I'd say Joseph from part 2.
So, he has a nickname in the fan community among a lot of nicknames, and that's the God of Trolling.
Ah.
Man lives to troll. But, with that question answered, I guess we gotta do the outro. We got no more openings. Right. So, if you, the viewer, enjoyed this reactionary content of me and Clark ranking and reacting to all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures openings, then please leave a like, comment down below what you want to see next on this channel. Please show some love. I have a feeling YouTube's gonna have a heyday with me on the copyright. And while we're at it, please, yes, subscribe, not just to me, but to Superman over here. Link will be in the description box down below. And while we're at that, if you wish to do a little bit more and support the channel further, feel free to join my membership. Become an elite warrior yourself. Gain access to special emotes during my live streams. And with that said, folks, we'll see you all in the next video.